if you served in the military, please stand and remain standing. Any child of a veteran, your parents served in the military, please stand and remain standing. If your grandparents, sibling, or any close family member served, please stand and remain standing. And finally, if a veteran has ever impacted your life, your family, your business, your church, or your community, please stand. As you look around the room, I ask veterans to stand, I ask spouses, children, family, friends, and what we all discovered is that everyone in the room, almost entirely, was able to stand. You may be seated. Because veterans are not a voting bloc. They're not a demographic. They're not a special interest group. Veterans are the connective tissue of America. They're the fabric that weaves us all together. Try to tell me another thing that I could have done an exercise that everyone could have stood. That's about the only thing that we have in our country that can get us all united and no life between us. Is that one thing, and we need to pay more attention to it. You know, every veteran touches dozens of lives. Every military family touches hundreds more. And when you help a veteran, you help an entire community. But while we gather here tonight, there are more than 35,000 veterans sleeping on the streets of America, enough to nearly fill Petco Park. And in San Diego County, as many of you stood tonight, that is how many homeless veterans there are just in San Diego. And I want to give you a crazy fact. When I was running for Congress, I reached out to the city of San Diego and I said, as the CEO.com, I would be willing to pay for a good send-off and a good burial for all the homeless veterans that died in our city. And you know what they told me? Nothing. They did not even write me back. They were comfortable with cremating them and throwing them in the trash. But people in this room would not stand for that, am I right? We would do what's right by those veterans. And millions are fighting battles that most Americans will never see. Not battles on foreign lands. They're battling with purpose, with isolation. They're battling what is their next mission after service. The tragedy isn't that they served. The tragedy is that too many served their country with purpose, and they got out with no purpose. Because tonight's not really about veterans. It's about us, the people in this room. It's about what do veterans know inherently that maybe we have forgotten or that we don't know. It's about what I hope to accomplish in the next few minutes. I hope to reignite a flame in this room, to reignite our hearts, to remind us of our mission, of our purpose. Because somewhere along the way, too many people stopped asking, what are we collectively fighting for? The military teaches something different though, doesn't it? You don't have to like everyone in your unit. You don't have to agree with everyone in your unit. Because when the mission matters, you move together. Get this, an 18-year-old Marine will gladly jump on a grenade to save someone they got in a fight with yesterday. But as grown adults in politics, business, civic life, often we refuse to work together out of petty disagreements, a slight grudge, a bruised ego. I gotta tell you though, as a Marine Corps veteran, the Hill does not care about your feelings. The objective does not care about your ego. The mission does not care who gets the headline. It only cares whether or not you take the hill. And I don't mean that you run up to the top of the hill. I mean that you take it, that you plant your flag, that you arrive violently on behalf of your party and your children and everyone in America, that you're willing to do that. Just imagine what California could accomplish if we operated more like a battalion of Marines. Imagine what America could accomplish. It honestly surprises me that the left is ever able to overtake us. Doesn't that blow your mind sometimes? You look at the order showing absolute lunacy, like a train wreck every day, and go, how in the heck are these people beating us? It isn't because they have better ideas, better values, but it's something that we forget. Regardless of their hate of each other, they have unity. They will lock arms, they'll protect their own, and they advance together and they overtake us, even though we are what is right for this country. Meanwhile, too often we spend our energy fighting each other instead of fighting for the mission. Veterans, though, they understand that if you spend all your time fighting the people that are in your foxhole with you, you lose sight of the enemy outside of it. We need less pettiness, less ego, less score settling, less concern about who gets the credit, and more focus on mission accomplishment. This is what service members do, that's what leaders do, and that's what America needs right now. Who agrees with me?
Yes.
Good. I know, because I have lived it. I'd like to say I was a Marine, but once one, always one, I'll be one when I go to the ground. I've been knocked down more times than I can count. I've faced challenges, setbacks, betrayal, loss, hardship. Yet hardship is not the end of your story. Purpose is. I became a CEO, an author, a producer, an advocate, and through VetCom, our team has now helped more than 27,000 veterans get nearly $12 billion in lifetime income. And it's money that they earn through their service. Not because it was easy, because the mission mattered more than my personal feelings. People often ask me, why do you care about veterans so much? It's because I have seen both versions of their story. I've seen veterans sleeping in their cars, wondering if people even remember their name. I've seen veterans rediscover their purpose, build businesses, raise families, mentor young people, transform communities. The difference is rarely talent, though. The difference is purpose and its mission. We have to stop asking and saying, thank you for your service. Isn't that the cheapest sort of thing you could say to a veteran that needs you? Thank you for your service and carry on about your day. What if we started asking you, how can I help you? How can I help you win the race that you are running by yourself? How can I help you succeed, build your next mission, become everything that you were created to be? But imagine if we asked each other those same questions, right? How can I help you? How can I help our mission be won? How can I help our movement win? How can I help America? I'm often asked to help lead the charge to galvanize the party. I wonder why, because I'm crazy, right? We need a little bit of chutzpah, a little bit crazy here. And I hesitate, because before we can win elections, we have to become worthy of winning them. The leadership required to take a hill under fire is the same leadership required to move a nation forward. Leaders who refuse to quit, refuse to fracture, refuse to place ego above mission. For me, when I arrive and I feel the battle, I arrive at any means at my disposal. And when I get there, I will arrive violently. I will rip the heart from my enemy. I will leave it bleeding on the ground. Because he does not know my heart. He doesn't know my conviction. He doesn't know how deeply I believe in what I'm fighting for. And that is exactly how we must approach the challenges that are facing our nation. Not with pettiness, excuses, infighting, but rather with courage, discipline, unity, purpose, and mission. We, the 700 or so of us in this room, we have to lean back in because we're leaned out. We have to squash the pettiness. We have to lock arms, focus on the mission, serve something bigger than ourselves, be more like the men and women who have volunteered to defend this nation. Because if we do that, there is no hill we cannot take. And again, I don't mean to run to the top of it. I mean there is no hill or race that we cannot win if we're willing to lean in and do what's right and actually go vote and take people to vote and go do all the activities required. 250 years ago, ordinary men and women pledged their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor to build something that never existed before. Generation after generation answered the call. Farmers became soldiers, workers became warriors, parents the backbone of families, citizens became patriots, and veterans stood watch over the entire experiment. For 250 years, Americans have sacrificed so freedom could outlive them. Now it's our turn to be the light bearer, to carry the torch. And the question is whether we'll be worthy of the sacrifices that made America great, whether we will choose mission over ego, service over self, unity over division, purpose over pettiness, whether we will leave this nation stronger than we found it. Because one day, another generation will gather in a room like this to celebrate our 300th birthday. And they are going to inherit whatever we were willing to stand for and to leave behind. The responsibility for those next 50 years belongs to those in this room, to the leaders in this room, to the parents, to the veterans in this room, to every American who still believes this country is worth fighting for. That is our mission. That is our purpose. And if we approach it with the same sacrifice, discipline, and unity as the veterans that we honor tonight, I have no doubt what our future will hold. America's greatest days will not be behind her. They will be ahead of her. God bless our veterans. God bless the United States of America. And let's make sure America is still standing strong for the next 50 years and beyond. Thank you for having me tonight. I appreciate it so much.